surprised that it was your first speech. When you came up, you were really confident, very confident. I was sitting at the back, and I could hear your voice over the fridges, very clear, so that was really good. Now, for those of you that don't know, the objectives of the first speech are to begin speaking for an audience, to discover speaking skills that you already have, and some skills that need some attention. The speech needs to be between 4 and 6 minutes long. Kim, how long was Viv's speech?
I'm sorry, which one?
Viv, the first speech.
The first one?
Oh,
it's 5 minutes and 26 seconds.
Excellent. I thought it would be as much. From the moment you came out, you had a very confident, strong, clear voice. You were standing in front of the lectern, which I thought was very good as well. A lot of people tend to stand behind it and hold the lectern, but you were confident, you were moving about, using your hand, facial expressions, looking about the room. That was really good. I'd say the audience got to know you very well. You started off with the title. You talked about your Geordie roots, your family, your career, so that was good. You didn't use any notes, which I thought was very good as well, and it didn't look like that you were reciting the notes from your memory. The way you were speaking, the way you were giving the speech, it flowed very nicely. The speech had a definite opening, body and a conclusion. It showed that you put a lot of time into the speech, you prepared very well. I was looking through your manual as well, you were highlighting the points that you wanted to concentrate on, and that again came through in your speech, so well done on that. The only thing I did notice was that you were talking quite quickly, and I think it would have been a lot, what's the word? A lot more effective if it was just slowed down a bit. Apart from that, there was nothing I could see that really needed any improvement. The best part for me had to be the humour, how it worked into the speech. You couldn't tell you were doing a joke, but it was funny. And then you couldn't tell when you went back to talking again. It just flowed so naturally. I thought that was really good. When you were talking about the universities with your husband, you were going one place, your husband was going another place. That was good. The higher English, was going over your head, and especially on the London Tube when you used the hand expression as well. So I thought that was really good. And I really look forward to your next speech.
Our second speech evaluator to evaluate Rob's speech is Alex Roberts.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Rob asked me to watch out for his body language tonight because he said he pretty much knew all the other stuff, which was an interesting challenge, Rob. In notes to the evaluators say the speaker is to use words and arrangements of words that effectively communicate his or her message to the audience. They should select clear, accurate, descriptive and short words and choose verbs that convey action. Sentence and paragraph construction should be simple and short. The speaker needs to include rhetorical devices, avoid jargon and unnecessary words, and use correct grammar. The speech must have a clear purpose and be appropriately organised. I thought you had an excellent choice of topics. This moving of a mountain, the desolate landscape that's appearing in the USA, and the effect it's having on people's health is a first-class subject around which you could have put very vivid descriptions indeed. Now I think you got part of the way there, but for me you didn't quite make it all the way. I think you could have been even more vivid. You had logical arguments that were well supported for the points you were making throughout. So I'd have liked to have seen a stronger, punchier opening and a stronger, punchier conclusion. It's very clear that intellectually you care about this particular issue. but the emotional element doesn't quite come through. I think a slight change in the words, the vividness of the words. I mean, you could have talked about the wraith of the landscape, things like that, which very much would be very powerful emotional hooks. I would change your pitch and pace from time to time. Now, it's a problem for all speakers, even experienced ones, because you have a certain pace at which you go along. When humour comes out, and I wouldn't address this just at you, I'd address this at probably most of the audience. When people start to laugh, let them laugh for a second or two. Let them enjoy the joke before moving on. People have a habit of a little bit of laughter and boom, they're away before we have time to enjoy it. I thought your eye contact was good. I would move around perhaps a little bit more. There's one or two other things which I will pick up with you after, probably in the break. I would recommend not leaping ahead. See, I think you have what it needs to become a competitor. The substance is there. There's no doubt about it. So you're moving into body language, which is your next speech, before you finish with this one. So I would take them one at a time and thoroughly master them. Because if you wish to be a competitor, which I think you could become, it really is worth spending the time to do that. So take your time, master each section thoroughly, and then become the competitor we all know you can be. Thank you.
Thank you. And our third and final speech evaluator to evaluate the Ewyn speech is Ewyn.
Ewyn is an experienced speaker. I've enjoyed watching him going from a miserable, shriveled up wreck a few years ago to being very accomplished and assured speaker. He knows how to hold the floor. He has tremendous presence. His eye contact is good. He works the room very, very well. I think you're on advanced communicator bronze. Have you done that? You're working towards bronze. Okay, so for new members, after you've done the 10 speeches in the Competent Communicator Manual, you have a choice of many advanced manuals, and you need to get 10 speeches from that. This is from the manual which is about speaking to inform, and Ewyn certainly informed us tonight, and the intention of this speech was the abstract concept. And the requirement is to define the scope of the speech subject, to have the topic narrow enough for the topic to be explained in the time available, to draw on expert opinions, and to make it interesting. I'm going to be tough on Ewyn because he's a former president, he's an area governor, he's a confident and very good speaker. So I have a number of criticisms here of ideas which will help him improve. The talk was interesting, and of course, because it's about Toastmasters International, something which is of interest to us. I don't think it was narrowly enough defined. I think there was some considerable confusion at the beginning. We had the family idea of no money, no talk, and then the mother says, well, why don't you go out and help other people? There was some confusion in the concept there. It wasn't clear to me how one related going to Sierra Leone and other places which are increasingly poor, and the advantages or otherwise of joining Toastmasters International. I think we have a number of interlocking themes there which are not necessarily very clear. And I would like to see the theme more narrowly defined. You personalized your speech, and that's a very powerful thing. When we come out and we say, after 5 years, I was miserable, we're really listening to that, because it's a personal experience, it's not a generalization. And Ewyn did that very, very well. I think the references which you provided were in some ways useful, in other ways not useful. It's always good to quote Martin Luther King, but I think if the general idea was to talk about inspiration and service, then that should have been clearer at the beginning. And we swithered around between that and whether things were good value for money. It's a real back to the money idea. And I thought throughout the speech there was a continuing slight lack of focus. And I think you could, if you were focusing on the benefits and value of Toastmasters International, I would have given examples of some Toastmasters who started in a not very good state and who've become very successful in business or inspiring others or in leadership. So there were many examples you could have picked from that. So, there was a lot of good, interesting stuff. I enjoyed it. It was certainly interesting. You explained one or two concepts. I think if you gave this again, you would need to be more focused. But overall, always enjoyable. It's a pleasure to see you speaking so confidently and on a subject which you know about. I would just say, decide what your topic is, focus in and use really relevant examples so that we're on the same track and we know from the beginning what the thing is really going to be about.
It's now time for our turf